Alrighty, chat. Bing bong. I just recently woke up, so fuck it, we ball. I don't know if I can cuss in the first, 10 seconds of the videos anymore. But I don't really care either way, because YouTube can suck my dick. Anyways, we're getting back into the Karen Read, fucking John O'Keefe case, and we're gonna finish off what was left of the video from Rotten Mango, that I couldn't finish the other day because it just got all over the place, and I was getting a headache from trying to even keep up with the amount of bullshit that was going on there. So, we're just gonna jump right back into it. I have the time mark saved. I think. Yes, I do. Let's go. Look at me go. Look at me go. I have stuff saved and ready to go for once. Okay, cool. We're gonna jump right back into it. For those of you who haven't seen the other 4 videos I've done on the John O'Keefe Karen Read case, in short, police officer dead, small town, everybody's pointing fingers at dead cop's girlfriend. But now, some of the police that are involved are apparently involved in a case of grooming and maybe possible murder of a 16-year-old. So, yeah, apparently this just gets all twisted and full of it. And yeah.
About him, I don't know, destroying his phone and throwing it away at a military base, a lot of them were sustained.
Last question, Mr. Jackson.
Did you remove the SIM card for that phone, drive onto a military base, throw the SIM card in one dumpster and the phone in a different dumpster?
That is not correct.
Did you testify that...
Was your one question, Mr. Jackson?
Questions would be asked, and he wouldn't have to answer to them. Or there are other netizens that pick up small things, such as one netizen comment reads, "Judge didn't interrupt the prosecutors once during the direct. Let's see how often they interrupt the defense." Some netizens think it's less of that and more of, she just looks so over it. I mean, sure, someone's life is lost and another one's life is on the line, but quote, she's like the kid waiting for 4 p.m. to hit to throw everyone out of the courtroom. The way that when the workday is over, this lady is done. This lady is gone. She's over it, not a second more.
Is it kind of crazy going straight
Hold up, I gotta turn it up a
Father
little for me.
Arun's courthouse to this case?
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know, because federal trials are not publicized as much, but from what we could hear from a lot of the court officers, Judge Arun is actually a little bit more of the patient ones. Federal courthouse judges are incredibly firm, they're sharp, they're crazy, in a better word, and it seems like there is a difference. The way that Judge Arun, Father Arun, would run circles on this woman, eat her for breakfast, lunch, and dinner without even lifting a single hair on his head or having a single bead of sweat on his glasses is kind of crazy. And to know that they all...
I mean, good job on him. Like, the ability to actually do something and to actually speak up for others is a really good skill that some people should have, even though some people just don't have what we call common sense. And the way that Auntie Bev over here has been looking at this whole case, it seems like she's already decided where she stands on the situation. She already thinks that Karen Read's guilty, and I'm pretty sure she's already, set her foot down that she's on that opinion. Anyways.
Oversee cases is a little intense and terrifying. Especially this one. I'm sure there's a lot of incredible state judges. But Auntie Bev just, in my opinion, is not one of them. There's another particular moment that the internet has lost their minds over. It's when the defense is questioning a witness, Auntie Bev awkwardly reaches up towards her face and itches the side of her cheek. And after a little while, the prosecution objects to the line of questioning. Auntie Bev quickly gives a big smile and says, "Okay, I'll see the attorneys at the sidebar."
Refreshing your recollection on any comments Mr. Whiffen made about Pakistan.
Objection.
Why?
I'm going to see you at sidebar for 2 minutes.
People think that's a sign that she had for the prosecution. That's how biased people believe her to be, and that's how crazy they think this trial is. And it is weird. It is suspicious. It appears the only time the majority of netizens have agreed with Auntie Bev is Crash Daddy right here.
Crash Daddy?
That's what netizens call
Crash
him. He's
Daddy?
a crash expert witness for the defense. He actually worked for the FBI, but the jurors were not allowed to know that. They were hired. ARCA is the company that he works for, and we're going to talk about it in a second. They were hired by the FBI. They concluded that John's injuries were not a result of a car accident.
Bro, what I don't personally, I would not want my nickname to be Crash Daddy. Like, ooh. No, I find that hilarious that they're calling this dude who's supposed to be an expert in car crashes Crash Daddy. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm not seeing something, but
He's the defense expert, and people call him Crash Daddy because just look at all these people. He is conventionally very attractive. He's very sharp. He's very smart, intelligent, and he does not seem to hold a bias one way or the other.
he looks like one of those prep boy college students that have like a whole bunch of money that do all those fucking what's they called? Those big like uni houses. What are they called? I don't know. I'm forgetting what they're called, but he looks like he goes like one of those. Anyways.
Even though he is testifying as a defense witness, he's also very intelligent in the sense that he does not get triggered on the stand when the prosecutors come at him for all sorts of gnarly things, and he's got dimples. So a lot of people have called him Crash Daddy, and they have a crush on him. Now, there is this moment where he walks in to be sworn in, and Auntie Bev, she's sitting in her swivel chair. She's swiveling, and she is eating this man alive with her eyes.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh no.
And the comments read, the only time Auntie Bev and I have been on the same page this entire journey. Another comment reads, I'll allow it. Another
Oh my
comment
God.
reads, she got no eye contact, but she was chasing it. It seems like she was into him. In fact, the prosecutors fought really hard to make sure this man does not hit the stand because his juror appeal is
God.
pretty high. Like I said, he does not seem to hold a strong bias. He's very competent. He knows what he's talking about. And a lot of people say he's easy on the eyes. I wouldn't know. I'm married. But the prosecutors really did not want him on the stand. Auntie Bev allowed it. She'll allow it. And people think there's only one.
I don't know. Maybe he's just eye candy for some people, but maybe he's a little bit more than that. We'll give him a chance. We'll give him a chance. Come on, chat.
Reason she allowed it. Yeah. So.
I mean, that is pretty crazy, though. Someone that credible to say that it wasn't a car crash?
Yes.
Then what else are we arguing here?
It's not even just him. It's also Honorable Crash Daddy, Dr. Rent. He's also part of ARCA. People love him as well.
So they brought multiple experts.
Two of the experts, yes.
And they all say it's not a car
Yes.
crash.
But the prosecutors bring their own experts.
Oh, yeah?
You're going to have a field
no.
day. One netizen comment reads, I understand why people suspect Auntie Bev is corrupt, but I find it difficult to accept it only because she's known that the feds are investigating this case. I feel like she simply has too much to lose by doing anything illegal to support the DA and the McAlberts. But at the same time, the netizen feels like if she truly has no undisclosed hidden secret conflict of interest, it just would be weird. Her conduct is unexplainable. It's just weird when you factor in that she used to be a criminal defense attorney along with her brother and her dad. So why the favoritism for the DA, who's brought murder charges based on what is at best the shabbiest car crash investigation since the invention of the internal
Exactly.
combustion engine? It just doesn't make sense. Does she just want to see Karen Reed railroaded out of sheer spite? Could she hate Alan Jackson that much for no apparent reason? Is she somehow unaware that Reed is likely innocent of the homicide charges? I just don't get it. To which another netizen comments, I think her and the DA's office, Michael Morrissey, which by the way, her mom, Auntie Bev's mom, and Michael Morrissey's family have history. We don't know how
Oh.
deep that history, but they work together briefly. They comment, I think her and the DA's office have an understanding for a long time that they can force the outcome that they wanted in previous cases, which is pro-prosecution because it's the DA's office. Kind of like we run the hen house, if you will. Never get questioned, never had to answer for anything, and basically just did things their way, which I believe was the slam dunk plan in this case as well, until it wasn't. Now I think it's just an attempt to save face and try to act like everything is still the status quo.
Wasn't it I think it was earlier in this video, one of the defense attorneys said something about the what was it? It was one of the forms. He said that there was no like checkbox for innocent or non-guilty, and there was only a box for guilty in the jury form thing. And I'm pretty sure that's what they're talking about now with how Auntie Bev was like rigging things in her favor for her wanted outcome.
And avoid
Don't
backing
quote me
down.
on that. I might
so
be
as
wrong.
to not look like you're admitting to some prior shenanigans.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
There have been other connections made in this case of, I mean, not the strongest ones, but kind of, which is there are messages between Sean McCabe. This
Oh.
is Matt McCabe's brother. Matt McCabe is Jen
Mhm.
McCabe's husband.
Mhm,
Matt
one of the
McCabe's
McCabes.
brother had reached out to Turtle Boy, who is an investigative reporter and influencer that has been honestly breaking this case from the get-go. I do think that a lot of people have strong feelings either for or against Turtle Boy. I think he's a very divisive.
His name is Turtle Boy?
That's his online content creator name. Aiden Kearney is his, I don't know if it's his government name, but that's his name. But I think he's a polarizing character. And sometimes that works being an internet personality. He is very passionate in what he believes in. And some people think that that passion can go 2 degrees too far. And I think it really depends on where you draw the line of what do you call witness intimidation. If you go to Jen McCabe's kids' lacrosse games to go confront Jen McCabe while live streaming and shoving a camera in her face and saying, why'd you Google House Long to Die in the Cold? Some people say slay. Some people say, that feels like witness intimidation. So it really depends.
That
So,
seems
Jen,
a
I have a
bit
question.
too far.
Did you think that you could outsmart Karen Reed? Why didn't you Google How Long to Die in Cold, Jen? Cop killers! That's what they are. They're cop killers. I cannot wait until they go to jail. I'm going to be there.
There are other things that people have called into question about how he went about reporting on this case. All I know really is that he was one of the first people to break the case. I think that's the hard part is he was one of the first people to even get attention on this case. Nobody really cared about this case much. Everyone was like, oh, she killed her cop boyfriend. Okay, moving on.
I see.
And then he was like, no, I think something's weird. Did he get too passionate? I guess that's subjective. I guess that's up for you to decide. But Sean McCabe reaches out to Turtle Boy.
Did bro really just go, yo, wave the red flag, something's wrong here. Hey, everybody, look at this. Something's up. Please, somebody look into this. Somebody pay attention to this. This might be big. Did bro do that? Is that what I'm getting? I don't know. I might be a little wrong. Don't quote me. I'm still very new to all this commentary shit. So
And McCabe's brother-in-law, and there are messages between Sean McCabe and Turtle Boy, which, side note, I will say, some of the discourse surrounding Turtle Boy, I do think some of it is warranted. The other parts I don't think are warranted is a lot of people give him a lot of flack for reaching out to people that might be involved in this case, including Sean McCabe.
Okay.
And they kind of yell at him for doing it, which I think is weird because a lot of the mainstream reporters are not doing it. And he's doing it. And just because he doesn't work for this big legacy media outlet doesn't mean that he is not as committed to finding.
So is bro reaching out to get answers when mainstream media is not? So people are giving him shit? That's kind of hypocritical, to be honest. Like, that's if saying some small, personal, like, reporter, like, some small content creator came up to, like, some big all-star dude on the basketball field and was like, hey, dude, can I interview you for a second? Just for fun, you know? And, like, everybody would give the dude, like, backlash for it. Like, I don't know, that just seems a little hypocritical, to be honest, but who knows?
Out the truth as any of these big major networks are.
Yeah. I think this case is especially frustrating because who do you even trust? There's nobody you can trust.
You can't trust anybody
Nobody to
here.
call. Everyone's
There's
like working on the same
nobody,
game.
not
But I
a,
think
not a
where
soul.
people thought he took it too far was he would do these roll calls where he would drive through everyone that was involved in front of their houses and use a bullhorn, and people would consider that doxing. Some people thought that there were children
Bruh.
involved that, I mean, not children, aka Colin Albert, but other children involved that may not have really been involved that are now being put in the crosshairs for this. But other people
Oh,
say,
no.
well, it's their parents' fault. It's really where you draw the line. Sean McCabe and Turtle Boy have a conversation where Turtle Boy asks Sean, do you really have a line to Judge Canoni, which is Auntie Bev? Sean McCabe responds, Auntie Bev? This is where her nickname comes from, because everyone was like, Judge Canoni, Beverly Canoni, and then he's like, Auntie Bev?
Auntie Bev,
It's like a nickname, I guess.
like they know her personally.
Yeah. He's like, Auntie Bev, whose seaside cottage do you think we're gonna bury your corpse under? He's asking
Oh.
Turtle Boy. Side note, Auntie Bev does indeed have a seaside cottage that nobody
Oh.
knew about because you're not supposed to know where judges live. The defense team
What
blows up
the-
the messages on a giant poster board, which Auntie Bev hates when they do shit like this, but I kind of think it's great for visual impact.
Yeah.
And is slightly a comedic effect if this case were anything other than what this case is about. But Auntie Bev has to stare straight into those messages.
I mean, it seems more like comedy relief at times. Other times, it seems like it's a little overboard. Like, I think some people are blowing some shit out of proportion a tiny bit. But I think the Sean McCabe message, like, where it gets to, like, where do you think we're gonna bury your corpse under? Like, I think that was a bit overkill on Sean McCabe's end. But it's kind of good to see a little bit of comedy relief in this really tense and crazy case.
And there's no missing it. Jackson asks, you know, I'm getting old. I may have appeared before thousands of judges in my nearly 30-year career. I've never known where a single one of them has ever lived or property that they may or may not have owned. But Sean McCabe appears to know, or appears to intimate that he knows the details of this court's personal life, and so does his family, which these messages are presented in court. And Adam Lally is like, wait, hold on. First of all, these messages are between two individuals that, quote, literally have nothing to do with this case. They are divorced from the context in which this communication arises. He's saying whatever they're saying about Auntie Bev has nothing to do with Auntie Bev, or really anything, because we exist in a vacuum, or as Gallagher would say, a leaf blower. Accompanying that, though, is a 2022 Venmo payment from Julie Nagel, who was at the house, remember?
Accompany what? I'm sorry.
The message from Sean McCabe, another blown up poster board, is
Okay.
a Venmo payment from Julie Nagel,
Which was
Brian Albert, Birthday Brian's friend, who was there that night, and she testified, oh yes, I did see a black blob outside of 34 Fairview when I was leaving.
I did notice something out of the ordinary, like a black blob in the ground by the flagpole.
But she's like all up in the McAlberts family. Like she loves them, would probably do a lot for them. She sends a Venmo payment,
like what time? What year was that?
2022. So later
So
in the
the
year. So it
year-
seems like they're still familiar
Okay.
with Auntie Bev. But Auntie Bev is like, first of all, that's not how I spell my name, and I've never rented out my Cape Cod cottage. But people are like, well, it didn't have to be that you were renting it out. They could have stayed there without paying, could have been invited there, and maybe they bought something and she was paying them back for that trip. Clearly, these conversations just don't help put faith in the justice system, which
Oh,
is
no,
precisely
they
why
don't.
Alan Jackson, the defense attorney for Karen Reed, is asking for the judge, Auntie Bev, to recuse herself. He makes it very clear.
This whole case has shown a very bad light on all forms of the justice system, law enforcement, and many more. Like, we've seen how fucked up human beings in general can be. We've also seen how stupid some people can be. Like, this case has really shown the dark side to most human beings. Like, it gives you a full, like, flat screen TV view of all the shit that you need to know about how fucked up this case is. Like, this video alone that I am reacting to right now, this has given us more insight about how fucked up people can be than all the others so far. And some of these are pretty fucked up. Anyways,
He's not accusing her or even insinuating that she cannot be fair.
Also, another thing, what happened to the dog? What's going on with that? Like, I almost completely forgot. That went almost, like, completely over my head. What happened to the dog? Anyway, probably
Partial.
happened.
He just says only the court knows the answer to this question. But the facts we presented unquestionably are such that the public might, and that's the key word, the public might doubt in the court's fairness in some regard, and that's all that's required for this court to do the right thing and step aside from this case. Jackson also points out that Auntie Bev has this strange tendency, which he calls a routine practice of failing to act on defense motions in a timely manner. Auntie Bev says, let me take a second to think about it. And she takes 15 minutes, comes back to the bench, and she says, I've never socialized with McCabe or any family members or witnesses who have been here in court. I reject the notion that untrue and unsubstantiated rumors spread on the internet can force a judge to recuse herself from a case. And that doesn't underscore the fact that anybody can say or write anything and try to make it on the basis of a motion to recuse. And I think it points out that this motion to recuse is not credible. Immediately afterwards, the prosecution requests that the defense attorneys be placed under a gag order. Lally states he wants the defense attorneys to be prohibited by addressing the merits of the case within the media or using the media as a propagandist to advance its theory of its case. To which David Yannetti passionately stands up. And he starts explaining the prosecutors were quite happy with the press this case was getting when it was in their favor, and their minions were out doing their work with the media. We did not create this media circus, the prosecution did. Does the prosecution think that if they stuff a gag in the mouths of Karen Read's attorneys, that these good reporters behind me are simply going to go away? Do they think the general public's just going to go away? If you gag us, Your Honor, the extrajudicial conversation will not end. If anything, it will only intensify. The gag order is not issued. But the whole thing is just leaving a bad taste in people's mouths, primarily because Auntie Bev isn't even supposed to be on this case anymore. She was supposed to rotate. So after the first trial, she's supposed to rotate to civil cases. That's kind of how it works in the state courts in Massachusetts. And she was supposed to go on that rotation, but instead of rotating like it's normally done, she has decided to extend her rotation to stay on this case that she's not getting favorable coverage on. She's not getting fame or attention or even money. On the contrary here, so why won't she recuse herself or just pass it on to the next person? Why does she want to take on this case so badly? The only connection netizens could find that were affirmative were, well, 30 years ago, Chris Albert killed a man.
30 years ago.
Yes.
Hold up,
Chris
what
Albert
the fuck?
was driving when he rammed into the back of a man in a car named Peter Berger.
What?
2 seconds. Justice for Peter Berger. Up and down the sidewalk. 2 seconds. You'll beat my face. I wouldn't. I could.
He rammed into Peter's car so hard that Peter's car spun off the roadway, hit a stone ledge, killing Peter, who was a Hungarian foreign exchange student. Chris Albert does not stop to help. He does not stop to call 911. He keeps driving, which, side note, people think it's actually rich that they have such strong opinions about Karen Read. Even if she did hit John O'Keefe with her car, I don't know if you're the one to be throwing looks her way. He does not stop driving. He does not stop to call 911. He keeps driving, which triggers a 30-hour police manhunt before he is finally arrested and sentenced to 6 months in prison. Meanwhile, Peter's mother wrote a letter to the court saying, I feel numb. This is a loss that will reflect the rest of my life. My husband has lost his will to live.
Wait, how is that only 6 months?
Well, some say that he just had a spectacular attorney to get him off that lightly. Who's his attorney? His attorney is John Prescott Jr., who is Auntie Bev's brother. Prior to Auntie Bev getting married, she was Beverly Prescott. And some people argue, well, that was 30 years ago and it's her brother and they take on all sorts of cases. Are you friends with all of your clients? I don't know, but it seems like everybody's friends with the Alberts. But maybe it's just all a coincidence. I will say
That reminds me of the comment that said, you're an Albert, I'm an Albert, everybody's an Albert. Because, again, like I've been saying throughout all my videos, this has been a spider web of just connection to connection, point to point. Make this like one of those yarn detective, like, corkboard things. Everybody is connected, some way, shape, or form. It doesn't matter who they are, they're connected, somehow, some way. And it's just been the whole case. And this whole case is, like, slowly expanded, shedding more light on some people than others, but like there's still some holes here and there that I'm struggling to visualize. But like, you know, there's some things here that we're missing still, and we still need some context for some things. And hell, maybe we'll never get the full story, but it seems that there is a lot here going on, and we're missing a decent chunk of it.
Orbit of McAlbert's has one too many bad drivers. So you have Chris Albert, who killed a man in a hit and run. You have Tim Albert, who hit a parked car and fled the scene, leaving a trail of transmission fluid straight to 34 Fairview. He was not charged or even interviewed at Canton PD. He just got a misdemeanor for it, so there's that. There are rumors that Tristan Morris, Caitlin Albert's boyfriend, was also involved in a hit and run, though that has not been confirmed. Helena Rafferty is the new police chief after Chief Berkowitz. She resigned recently. Retired. She retired recently because a lot of scandal has been occurring over the fact that she hit an elderly man with her car. An elderly man who was wearing a reflective vest.
Is that confirmed or?
Yes, she hit him with her car.
While she is the chief?
Yeah. Well, I don't think it was when she was the chief, but she hit him with her car. And then you have Paul O'Keefe, the brother of John O'Keefe.
Everybody's
and normally,
so bad
I don't
at
really like to
driving.
bring
No.
details like this into the orbit of the case. I will say that a lot of netizens have deeper feelings for the O'Keefe family than I would suspect most would in typical cases where a victim's family is involved. I think maybe it has to do with the fact that they have since shared a lot of strong words against Karen Read. I don't think that's really reason to hate them or dislike them to any extent, but there is the mention that Paul O'Keefe got into an accident whilst driving under the influence, and it is believed that Karen Read helped pay for Paul's attorney fees and bail, helped him out of jail when that happened to him. So there's just an overwhelming amount of bad driving incidents in this town, most of which could have been entirely avoidable. Now, one of the biggest questions throughout this case has been, if it's so obvious to netizens, why isn't it obvious to the O'Keefes that something is amiss here? That they're going after the wrong person to get justice for their John O'Keefe. Side note, Karen will later say that she believes that it just hurt Peggy O'Keefe, which is John's mom. It seems like if anybody's the most involved, it's Peggy O'Keefe, which is John's mom, and Paul O'Keefe, which is John's brother. John's dad seems to have taken a little bit of the back seat to this, and Karen says John's dad and I got along really well. It was actually the biggest betrayal that John's dad didn't believe her. Some netizens speculate, and this is just speculation, that maybe John's dad is like, well, maybe I do kind of believe her, but I'm not going to go against the family when all of this is happening. I'm just going to support my wife and my kids. Nobody really knows. But as to why Peggy O'Keefe might not have liked Karen Read even from the get-go before John even passed, she says she just was hurt by seeing another woman raise her daughter's kids, is Karen Read's speculation to it. Some speculate that Karen Read is definitely not the daughter-in-law that maybe some mother-in-laws would like. She's very outspoken. She's very intense. She doesn't hold back when she thinks something's weird. So some people think it's that. Others say, well, no, I don't think she disliked her. There's no proof that she disliked her before John's death. But she does say, Karen Read does say, so Paul and Peg, if you think I killed John, that means you misjudged me for 2 years and entrusted 2 young family members in my care. Then in the blink of an eye, you now think I'm a cold-blooded killer who took your son away? She thinks it's weird that they automatically thought she had something to do with it. I mean, just questioning everything.
The fact that some people will act so nice to you in front of you for possibly years on end, and then immediately as shit hits the fan, they're out. They're gone. They're never coming back. Like, they will switch up that quickly after, like, a decently long time. And I've personally felt how two-faced some people can be, and it is mind-blowing. Like, how quickly some people will switch up on a friend or loved one if it benefits them. I think it's a mix between selfishness and self-preservation. That's the word I'm looking for. But, yeah, maybe that's just me.
About her, but never questioned why Brian Albert didn't go outside as paramedics tried to save John. She thinks it's weird that they don't question that. As for why they don't, Karen says the only explanation she can think of is it's easier to fool someone than convince them that they've been fooled. Maybe they're in too deep now. Karen says about Paul O'Keefe, he's seen during the trial just glaring her down most of the days. And she says about that, you can't have no respect for someone and care about what they think. I didn't do anything, so you can stare at me and get an ulcer over your hatred toward me. The O'Keefes never carried a pitchfork for me until I started getting support. You didn't speak to any media, now you're giving interviews. You really just can't stand my rising from the ashes. The only thing that changed is I started to come from a position of power.
Yeah.
Paul O'Keefe has done an interview after the first trial in which he says, we know what happened. We know that John and Karen were arguing. It was towards the end of their relationship. They were drinking and arguing and fighting, and in an intoxicated state of rage and jealousy.
She just decided that she was going to do something about it. You know, put the car in reverse and ran him down and left him there to die.
She's pointing the finger at everybody. Everybody's lying except for her, according to her. And I think we had 68 witnesses testify, and according to the defense, they're all lying and they're all not credible. I've gotten to know the Alberts through this all very well, and they're all good people. So just because we don't believe in a crazy conspiracy theory and we believe that Karen Read is guilty of killing my brother, people are taking it out on us. Unfortunately, if you pay high-powered attorneys enough and put enough lies out there, you start influencing people to the point where there's just no turning back. As for Michael Proctor, Paul O'Keefe says, as for Michael Proctor's comments, I mean, he even said, too, they were unprofessional, which we agree with, but this guy's life has been ruined. And this is where a lot of netizens started turning on Paul O'Keefe, which was something that should have never happened. He's saying that Michael Proctor's personal phone should have never been searched. And now his life is ruined, even though those were unprofessional comments. And I think that's where a lot of people started turning on Paul O'Keefe. As for the mistrial, Paul O'Keefe says, I guess we were obviously hoping and confident that we were going to get the conviction that we were looking for. So as far as the mistrial, yes, it's something we didn't want, obviously, but it's just a bump on the road. And like I said, we'll do it again. We'll do it as many times as we'll have to. I just want people to remember John and want him to get the justice he deserves and that we deserve.
And that's Karen Read going to prison.
There are so many uncomfortable...
Honestly, I think this case has moved so far away from John O'Keefe that it's not even about him anymore. It's more about finding who did what and who's been lying the whole time. And I think some people need to understand that this whole case has been one shit show after another. So, I don't know. I think, personally, it has moved too far away from the original intent now. And now it's just Karen Read versus everyone in the Albert family. But maybe that's just me.
Things about the first trial, like the fact that during the trial, according to 2 jurors that have come out afterwards, one of the jurors, who happened to be a retired police officer, told the other jurors, I too had been hit by a car once. They chose him as the foreperson. The juror in charge, a retired police officer who had been hit by a car, which is already kind of, I don't even know how he ended up on the jury. And if he told everybody that he had been hit by a car too, I don't know how he wasn't dismissed, but just all very weird. Also, at the very last moment, so the way that this worked in this trial is that the alternates are chosen at the very last minute. It's like a luck of the draw numbers game. It's random. And all the defense-friendly jurors get chosen as alternates. What are the odds? What are the odds of that? Then, according to multiple jurors, there was confusion in the deliberation room whether or not the jurors could declare a partial verdict, meaning, hey, can we say not guilty or guilty to some charges and then be hung on other charges? That was a huge thing for the Sean Combs case. For example, it's like if you are hung on the RICO verdict, then everything else has a verdict and he will only have a mistrial on the RICO charge, which is clearly not what happened, but that was the conversation when there was deliberations happening. So that was the conversation between the jurors on this case. They didn't really know what was going on, but they said, we all voted unanimously that Karen was not guilty of second-degree murder. We were hung on the other charges, like the manslaughter charge. We just couldn't agree.
So the most serious one that they're saying she's not guilty on that one for sure.
They expressed that to the judge, or so they thought, and the judge pretty quickly, Auntie Bev, is like, okay, so you guys are deadlocked on the charges, so I'm declaring a mistrial, which means she's going to get retried for all the charges, including second-degree murder. The defense didn't know this until after the mistrial is declared. A few of the jurors called the defense themselves and said something weird happened.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, to clarify, she got charged a bunch different charges.
Yes.
The most serious one is second-degree murder. And the jurors say, no, she's not guilty on that one.
Unanimously.
Right. The rest,
We're fighting.
we're fighting.
hung.
The right thing to do is remove that for the next trial.
Yes.
So just retry her for all the other charges.
Manslaughter, things of that
yeah.
nature.
But instead, they did the whole thing again.
Yes, which the defense have tried to take to the superior courts as double jeopardy, which means you cannot be charged for the
Yes.
same crime twice.
Yes.
And they said to prove that, we need to bring the jurors in and make sure that they unanimously voted, because that's what the jurors, like 5 jurors, have come out to us and said that's what they said. So we need to bring in all 12 jurors and make sure. And the judge was like, I'm not doing that. That's crazy.
What?
I'm not doing that.
What?
Which has caused a mistrial.
All right, Mr. Foreman, I am in receipt of your note. Judge Cannoni, despite our rigorous efforts, we continue to find ourselves at an impasse. To continue to deliberate would be futile and only serve to force us to compromise these deeply held beliefs. I'm not going to do that to you folks. Your service is complete. I'm declaring a mistrial in this case. I'll be in to see you privately in a few minutes, so thank you so much for your service. Okay.
All rise for the court, please.
That is why we have a second trial in this case. And the court presence, I mean, even during the first trial was intense. People, I guess in a dark humor sense, called it like a gender reveal party. Outside the courthouse, you have a sea of people wearing pink in support of Karen Read, and blue, obviously, for cops in support of justice for John O'Keefe, which Karen Read has expressed her confusion because justice for John O'Keefe is not exclusive with supporting Karen Read. She believes that she is also fighting for justice for John O'Keefe because he's not going to get justice unless whoever killed him is discovered. And she's like, that's not me, so you're not getting justice by putting me in jail. I don't understand. Others are saying, no, you did it, so you need to go to jail. And there has just been lots of people. People are outside the courthouse 8 hours a day wearing t-shirts, holding signs, and they will live stream it outside the courthouse, put it on speakers, and they sit there with lawn chairs. They'll bring snacks, coolers. It's almost become a thing in Boston, Massachusetts, where you don't bring up Karen Read's name at the dinner table because it's that divisive. Parents and children have stopped talking to each other. Friend groups have dissipated. They said it's worse than talking about politics. And Paul O'Keefe hates that. He says, unlike most people accused for murder and sued for wrongful death, Karen Read has embraced her celebrity in outsized ways. This intensive media campaign to influence potential jurors compounds the O'Keefe's family's terrible loss while delaying and denying her accountability. To which Karen Read fights back. Anyone in my position who has been falsely accused would be shouting from the rooftops. First of all, I don't want to be here. It can be the John O'Keefe show. It can be the O'Keefe family reunion. But if you think for a second that anyone has fought harder to find the truth about what happened to John and to enlighten everyone about what happened to John harder than me, then you're wrong. Witnesses have expressed being terrified, the McAlberts included. They say they're being harassed. They're being followed by influencers. That's what they call everyone, to lacrosse games, to be questioned on whether or not they Googled how long to die. They're talking about Turtle Boy. Also, Turtle Boy has been charged for witness intimidation. Now, I do think, regardless of what people think about Turtle Boy, a lot of netizens agree, I don't know if it goes into witness intimidation category. I don't know. Okay, I don't know. There has been so much developing in that sphere, but Brian Tully was the one to lead the investigation into Turtle Boy. I think that's another reason that a lot of netizens are questioning whether or not he should have been charged. Again, even if you think what he did is witness intimidation and witness harassment, the fact that Brian Tully is leading that investigation with such passion and fury that you did not see for the John O'Keefe investigation makes netizens feel wary about the situation.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's why there's so much nuance to this case. It's like you can dislike Turtle Boy, you can love Turtle Boy, but still disagree or agree with the investigation. There's so many things. Karen Read says it's impossible for me to have any sympathy for these witnesses. Definitionally, is it harassing witnesses? Yes, they're witnesses against me in my prosecution, and he is yelling things at them, and he is going up to their front doors and ringing their bell. Yes, but they shouldn't have been witnesses. They should have been suspects. So it's not that cut and dry. So there is that argument as well of like, is it witness intimidation and witness harassment if they're not really witnesses? I mean, they're definitely not good witnesses. I don't know where you draw the line of witnesses, but they're not good witnesses. The Canton police officers have also reported feeling petrified, shaking in their boots. One Canton officer says, "No one in this town will care about us until one of us gets murdered. Even then, half the town will probably celebrate that." Canton officers report that the department suffers significant pressure due to the...
Oh, shiver me timbers. Oh, no one cares about the cops. Oh no, what are we going to do? Oh no, some of our cops were doing dumb shit. Oh fucking no. Where would we ever expect that our cops, these seemingly nice people, are doing bad things behind our backs? Who would have guessed? Oh no, now we're scared because nobody cares about us now. God, it's just
proliferation of misinformation, witness coercion, and a lack of
crash
support
out
from
over
elected
this case
officials.
one of these days.
As per an audit into Canton PD, officers report that, quote, certain individuals referred to as influencers are spreading false narratives about officers involved in the O'Keefe and Birchmore cases without substantiating any evidence. They operate without adhering to journalistic standards or rules of evidence. Don't talk to us about rules of evidence, leaf blower Gallagher, solo cup Gallagher.
We utilized
Oh my
cups,
God.
plastic cups.
Those
I
are red
nearly
Solo
forgot
cups,
about
right?
that
That's correct.
bit of
The
stupidity.
same kind of red Solo cup you drink beer out of it.
That is the part of the case where even the person who does all the like DNA stuff and all the like lab stuff was like, her mind was blown. She was like so done. I remember that bit very vividly.
Argue.
Yeah, sure, you could.
Okay. Rules of evidence, gaining notoriety by circulating unfounded narratives in pursuit of fame and viewership. Two things can be true at once, I guess, right? But I don't think Gallagher has any leg to stand on if he's the one saying that. If netizens were already not side-eyeing Auntie Bev, the day before the second trial is to begin, Auntie Bev decides Karen's team can no longer point to Colin Albert, or anyone for that matter, as their defense. So when you bring your case in chief to the judge, they have to approve it. You can't just say, I'm
What?
going to go in there and I'm going to say whatever I want to say that my client is not guilty. You have to say, this is our presentation of how we're going to go about things. This is how we're going to prove it. These are the witnesses that we're going to bring, or a list of witnesses that we think we're going to call to the stand. And they're important for these reasons, and they help with these different arguments. The day before, Auntie Bev is like, you're not doing that anymore. The third party culprit defense, you're not doing it anymore. The day before the second trial.
No reasons,
She's just like, there's no proof.
so you can't point your finger at Colin Albert.
Or really any other third party. So the defense has to switch gears, and all they can focus on is corruption of the investigation, which, to be fair, is not that hard to do, but it is strange that it happened so quickly before the second trial. The prosecutors bring in Hank Brennan. He is a special prosecutor, meaning he's not part of the DA's office. He's not a prosecutor. He's a criminal defense
looks a
attorney.
little spiffy.
He's brought in by the DA's office to act as a special prosecutor for this specific case. You do this a lot when you are going into very niche fields. You'll often see it with most really well-equipped DA's offices have people that are very well-versed in financial crimes. A lot of federal U.S. attorneys' offices have people that are well-versed in financial crimes, crypto, but sometimes, those are the times you would bring in, a special prosecutor when you're like, whoa, we're dealing with something that would take us a long time to even learn about the thing that we're dealing with.
Yeah.
They bring him, or you bring them in when you're going up against a very strong team. That's why a lot of people thought that the Diddy case, they should have brought in a special prosecutor to go up against some of these very high-powered
I didn't watch
criminal
the
defense
Diddy case, to be
attorneys that
honest.
have a
I
lot of
just
flair, that
saw
have a lot
too many
of
memes about it.
charisma on their side. They bring in Hank Brennan. I don't know if he was the one to bring in.
Really?
I'm just going to be so real with you. He is a very well-known, was a well-respected criminal defense attorney prior to this case, but
Or did he fuck
Destroyed.
up?
Lally
messed up?
sucked. And I say this, I think anyone on the internet that's like, I could have done a better job than these people, I
Oh my
find that to be really bad arguments most of the time, because you don't really know what a prosecutor goes through. It's frustrating, yeah. But sometimes I read comments online and I'm like, I do think you could have done a better job than Lally. I do think so.
Really?
Oh no.
1/16 of an inch by 1/16.
You have 1 minute, Mr. Lally. Wrap it up.
Yes, Your Honor. All consistent with pieces of taillight that are found within his clothing.
Oh no. Oh no, he's just sitting there.
So I'm like, I don't know what Lally was doing, but your comments make sense in my head. Yeah, Lally sucked. Hank Brennan sucks less, but he is so aggressive to the point of just
Hold up, let me go back. I want to go back. Look at this dude and look how he looks around for somebody to tell him what to do. Wait for it. Right there. He looks away and he's like, I don't know what I'm doing.
I'm like,
Somebody
I don't know
please
what
help
Lally
me.
was doing, but
Oh my god.
your comments make sense in my head. Yeah, Lally sucked. Hank Brennan sucks less, but he is so aggressive to the point of just coming off angry and hostile for no reason. Just aggressive. Just
we've
so
seen
mean
that
for
throughout
what?
this whole
I don't know for
case.
what. Why are you being like that? That's the feeling Hank Brennan gives. It seems like there are a lot of netizens have psychoanalyzed that he has sour feelings that the defense team, because he's a criminal defense attorney at the end of the day, defense team, they're getting a lot of star power, lots of praise, and people are making memes and thirst traps of them, and he's just hanky spanky. And he's upset that he's hanky spanky. The question ultimately is Hank Brennan going to be worth it? Because between November of last year and June of this year, the special prosecutor is getting paid more than $500,000 in legal fees alone from taxpayers. Close to $600,000, $566,000.
In half a year.
Yes. And that's not
What
even,
the
I mean, first of all, the
hell?
taxpayers don't get a choice. And that's not including all of the different experts that are paid, the other prosecutors, the paralegals, all of the administrative fees. That's just Hank Brennan is getting paid nearly $600,000 in half a year. It's crazy. So locals are mad because what about the other families that want justice?
I'd be
DA's
mad
offices
too.
have budgets at the end of the day that they can spend on cases. Why are they blowing like a third of their budget on this case for a retrial that nobody asked for? The defense team also adds new additions to their legal defense team. And if you're wondering, how can Karen afford it? She lost her job, she sold her house, is paying for it with her house, got rid of her 401k, is paying for that. I mean, she's like $5 million in legal debt, technically.
Ooh.
I mean, Jackson and Little alone said for the two trials, typically for any other client, they would have charged like $10 million upwards.
Dang.
But they are deferring their legal fees. They haven't really gotten paid by Karen Reed. All of the new attorneys have also come in pro bono.
Wow.
That also feels like an indication of how they feel about her innocence. Victoria George is one of the more interesting additions to Karen's legal team. She's an employment lawyer. So people thought that was weird. Why is an employment lawyer getting on this case? Victoria George has very
That does
interesting
seem a
insight
little
to provide
weird.
for Karen's legal defense team. It's the fact that she was on the jury for the first trial. She
What?
became an alternate juror at the end, but she was allowed on the jury because she's an employment lawyer. She didn't know anything about the Karen Reed case. She was on the first jury.
How does that work?
Yeah. She was on the
How do
first
you get
jury.
your
And then
butt
afterwards,
on-
she's like, "Can I be on your team?"
She called the defense team and had conversations about, hey, I'm telling you something was weird. And as an attorney, as someone that upholds the legal justice system
Oh. I
to
wanna
a
know.
very high degree, I just thought you should know. And there were first jokes about like, you know, you should be on the, you're still licensed to practice, right? Because at that point, she wasn't practicing as much. She has children and she was at home taking care of them. And she was like, I mean, technically, I am still licensed to practice. And they're like, huh. So then eventually she went on this case pro bono.
That is insane.
That's
Yes.
And
funny.
she probably knows the case inside out too after the
Yes.
whole trial. Wow.
But more than that, with the Combs case, as I've told you about, a lot of people spend a lot of money hiring jury consultants, which are attorneys who will just tell you what rings well with jurors. She's been a juror. She can
Yeah.
tell you what hit well and what didn't.
That's so crazy. Wow.
She says, if I, as a lawyer, am too afraid to stand up for what I believe in, who will? What happened to John O'Keefe was a tragedy, but just because something is sad doesn't mean that the person in the defendant's seat is responsible. I can feel bad for his family and believe that she's not guilty at the same time. Then you
Yeah.
have Robert Alessi. Everybody loves
Ooh,
Robert
what is this dude
Alessi.
hair up to?
This
Holy.
defense team is fascinating. People love this defense team. I think with the Diddy case, Dream Team, yes, maybe a more high-powered Dream Team than Karen Reed's legal defense team, but they were not as lovable. Like, they were charismatic, but it was always with an undertone of like, ooh, gosh, oh no.
Yeah.
But this team, people love this team. I mean, there are thirst traps for this team. Every single they love them. Robert Alessi is a New York-based attorney. So he's in Boston for the whole second trial for this. And interestingly enough, he is a very random addition as well, considering his legal background is primarily in the environmental financial law field in New York City. So why is he suddenly in Boston fighting a murder trial? It has been reported that his daughter asked him to look into the case and that he was looking into it. And he's like, oh, wait a minute. I know David Yannetti. He and I are besties.
Oh.
So then David Yannetti ends up calling him and is like, I need some advice. I need advice. You were a great trial attorney. Tell me something. And then he says, you know what? I want to join pro bono.
Wow.
So he goes in, getting paid nothing as well. Now, I know some people that are cynical are going to say, well, most law firms do require attorneys take on a certain percentage of pro bono cases. However, let's live in this land for a second, okay? I like this land. There are also 9 law clerks that joined the team for the second trial. They are also working pro bono for free. Second trial is a bit more fast-paced than the first one. Most of the McAlberts do not testify the second time around. The prosecution does not call them. Trooper Proctor does not testify the second time around. And even then, it doesn't...
Bruh, if they had the Alberts testify again, I'd lose my mind. Oh my god. Listening to the first few videos of the Alberts, like, getting up on the stand and saying everything, and then being like, oh, but he didn't show up, oh, I didn't see him, oh, but wait, how's Long dying cold? Screaming at fucking Karen Reed to shut up. I didn't lie on intentionally. Oh no, oh fucking, oh. God, if I had to listen to that one more time, I would lose it. Oh my god. The amount of bullshit coming from the fucking Alberts is insane, and they
stop the
reek
rather
of
dumb
guilty.
testimonies provided by parties involved, such as when Jen McCabe can't answer any question at all about really anything and has a hard time showing that she does not have pure venomous hatred for the defense team. I mean,
that I was woken up out of a dead sleep. I was...
Oh my god.
Karen showed up at my house screaming. I went out to help her look for John. And then we found one of my closest friends on the front lawn. And she was saying crazy things and acting crazy and
Ms.
acting
McCabe, that's not my
erratic.
question.
Jen!
Oh
I was
my
more
God.
focused on her and her hysteria than which officer was asking the
Not these
question. I don't
camera
recall.
zooms.
I don't recall. I don't recall. I don't recall. I don't recall. There are certain things I will never forget, Mr. Jack.
No, not another ad, bro. Get this out of here.
Everyone's out here with their little 20-watt.
I don't recall.
You
I don't
recall.
recall. There are certain
don't
things
recall.
I will never forget, Mr. Jackson. The minute I remembered, she said, I hit him. I called Officer Lang.
I don't know why these people have such a
Oh
hard
my
time
God.
just not hating every single breathing person in the courtroom. Every single prosecutor's witness just seems like they're filled with hatred. It's so unlikable. It's hard to even resonate with anything they say. They're so defensive. They want to be smart Alex, but it comes off like, are you okay?
Yeah.
Gosh, it's like...
I guess when you're shady, you just can't be
Yeah.
transparent and open about things.
No. Or like the time Buchanan starts arguing that he doesn't know what certain words mean in the English language because he speaks 3 languages, so he asks Attorney Jackson if he can kindly hand him a Webster's dictionary.
I'm sorry, English is like a third language for me, so if you can bring up the Webster's dictionary, I can read it out.
And Attorney Jackson is like, are you fucking kidding me right now? You want a fucking dictionary?
You want me to pull up the Webster's dictionary? You want to take a break real quick and pull up the Webster's dictionary?
Oh my
to
God.
find a word that you used in an answer about 40 seconds ago? We're working off of a theory, quote unquote. You said it, not me. You want me to go get a dictionary so we can figure out for the jurors what that word means?
Objection.
and then they have a very tense
Oh my
standoff.
God.
I mean, there are a lot of ridiculous moments in both the trials combined, and we would probably be here for the next 10 weeks if I covered all of them. Attorney
God.
Jackson is
Thank
also
you,
very upset
Mango,
and
for
confused
not
that
doing
Michael
that
Proctor
to
was not
me.
even called
Thank
as a
you.
witness for the second trial by the Commonwealth. He says, "You guys were so embarrassed of Michael Proctor, you couldn't even put him on the stand." I thought it was a glaring error on the Commonwealth's part to not call certain witnesses, including Brian Albert, Brian Higgins, Nicole Albert, Matt McCabe, and Chris Albert. They didn't want them to be subjected to a very vigorous cross-examination because the Commonwealth knew that they would not withstand it. And also, because Michael Proctor has been fired. President Patrick McNamara, which is the president of the State Police Association of Massachusetts, the union for the troopers, he threw his support behind Proctor, saying, "Our homicide detectives here in Massachusetts are arguably the best in the country. Our solve rate is indicative of that. At this point, it's just a matter of understanding your audience." That's the exact problem. Everyone is wondering if your solve rate comes from the fact that you just throw everyone in jail regardless of the evidence, and then you look for nudes for them. Boasting about how great your solve rate is not what we want to hear right now. He does not read the room. He continues, "Trooper Proctor has been the subject of personal attacks from the criminal defense attorneys and the media for doing their jobs."
I respond again, nutbag, as Chief would say. She's got a leaky balloon knot.
They did this work without favor. They follow the evidence. This is true in the case of the investigation of the death of Boston police officer John O'Keefe. Trooper Proctor has personally been defamed in the media and in court. We stand with you, Mike, as we do all state police detectives, which, if he has been defamed, hit everyone with a defamation lawsuit. Let's go. Just do it. That's crazy. He really should have just stayed quiet, okay? Because this is, I mean, I guess that's a little rich coming from someone who makes like 10-hour-long videos.
Is there like any police officials that's coming out and exposing what's going on, or even take a different stance? Because it seems like everyone's like backing each other. Has anybody say something?
Briefly, and then they went back. Yeah, we're gonna get there. But soon after that, Patrick loses his re-election for the police trooper union, and I guess that's the nicest thing that could have happened to him. ABC News asks Trooper Proctor about getting fired. He says, "I just remember dropping to my knees and laying on my lawn crying. I couldn't even talk. I was in complete hysterics, and I remember my mother being like, 'What?' And I kind of gathered myself, and I'm like, 'They relieved me of duty.'" He starts tearing up, emotional about the hardest moments of his life. "What really got me was my union rep came over to my house and picked up all my uniforms, and the one time I broke down was putting my Class A uniform. You go through a 6-month police academy and you're very proud to put on that uniform. That's tough."
You're very proud to put that uniform on. Yeah. That was tough.
He says that.
And he wants us to feel bad?
Yes. I don't know any trooper that has been punished for personal text messages on their personal phone, let alone fired. Are these people okay? He continues.
He thinks he got fired because of a text message. Not what he did.
No.
It's because of, I sent a little text. I got fired.
Yeah. They were just found on my phone.
Yeah. You know, have you ever text something? It means nothing.
It means nothing. These text messages are juvenile, as they are. It's not me as a person. I vented after being involved in an investigation of a police officer and used words that I regret. People see those text messages and they instantly jump to a conclusion about you, and that you must be biased, you must be a bad person, and I'm sure many other names. I could see how people make that leap because that's all they know about me. They don't know who I am. They don't know the kind of person that I am. They just see those text messages and they immediately just assume I'm a bad person. He has since appealed the firing. He says, "I still love the job. I still want to be a trooper, and I'm fighting for it." Kelly Dever.
Hold up, before we move on to this next person. That dude was in a group chat spouting off some nonsense. Hi Abyss, how's it going? We're finishing off the case. Anyways, bro was spouting off some nonsense in a group chat to his superiors. And bro wants to say, "Oh, it was just a silly little text message. Oh, it was just a silly little thing. Why am I getting fired over that?" You're not, buddy. You're getting fired for something completely different. Your own stupidity got you into this mess, bucko. I hate to break it to you, but it wasn't the text that got you there.
Dever is a Boston cop, which is the same force as Brian Albert and John O'Keefe. But she used to work for the Canton Police Department, specifically the night that there was a call made where John O'Keefe was found in the snow. So a former Canton cop. She walks up to the stand, and she looks a lot younger than all the other
She looks
officers.
miserable.
Is she the one that Sean Good called
Yes.
to replace his position?
Yes, in the dispatch.
Yes.
He's like, I gotta
Uh-huh.
go.
Yeah.
She comes in, maybe mid-20s, late 20s. She gets up on the stand and she explains she was a patrol officer. She was working the night shift. She took over dispatch for Sean Good. And Attorney Jackson is asking her,
She looked
when Sean Good
miserable
instructed
up
you
on
to
that
take over
stand.
dispatch, explain what that meant.
When Sergeant Good instructed you to take over dispatch, explain what that meant.
I meant I walked inside and I sat down in a dispatch room.
You're aware that Sally...
Oh my god. The way that she was just like, I did basic shit. I sat down. I breathed air. You know, I lived. I existed. I picked up the phone. I had to, like, you know, take calls because that's what dispatch does, you know? Anyways,
Or had
sorry.
a camera, a security camera.
I'm getting a little
it would make
bitchy
sense
about this
because
case.
that's where we bring prisoners to drop them off. Well, more than just making sense, I'm asking you, do you recall that it had a camera that serviced the garage? It's where we brought prisoners, so there would be cameras, yes.
Oh, context on Sally Port, it's the...
Garage where Karen Reed's car was brought in and
Uh-huh.
held in evidence. And people think that's where the evidence the taillight was taken apart and then brought to 34 Fairview and then scattered in the snow.
Mhm. And
So it's
then
very
they-
important.
They revert the...
Yes, inverted footage.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you're
Oh my
listening.
god.
Okay. So she's saying...
It's where we brought prisoners, so there would be cameras, yes.
Okay, you're saying there would be cameras. I'm asking you, were there cameras?
According to the media, yes. I've seen the footage, so yes, there were cameras.
The judge stops her and tells her, so I'm going to strike that, officer. You have to answer the question based on your own independent. And Kelly looks at Auntie Bev.
Oh my god.
If you don't have your own independent memories, that's fine, but you can't reference what you know from the media.
Bruh.
You have to answer the question based on your own independent. And if you don't have them, tell us. You can't reference what you know from the movie.
All right. There were cameras in the Sally Port.
She's making faces? Straight up?
Yeah, she's 2 seconds away from fully rolling.
She looked so done with Auntie Bev. She looked so done. She was ready to start rolling her eyes. She was done. She wanted out. Oh my god, I could feel how done she was. She is definitely not wanting any of this. She's not having it. Oh my god, I could...
Her eyes to look inside of her skull. Miss Dever, do you want to be here today? I have no relation to this case. I didn't ask you that. I asked you if you want to be here. Kelly Dever pauses before dramatically stating,
I am put on the stand in a murder trial. I don't know why I'm here. I have no connection to this case.
This is honestly a bit more
Yeah.
hostile than some of the more important key witnesses. Her interactions with the defense team feel so scathing than even some of the more McAlberts, okay? Some of the McAlberts, they try to hide it.
She looked
or some
so
of the cops that are more
done.
heavily involved. But the confusing part in all of this is, in trial 2, she is not a prosecution witness. She is a defense witness. The defense called her to the stand to testify. Why?
Again?
Because Officer Dever told FBI agents that she saw ATF Brian
Huh?
and Chief Berkowitz in Sally Port for a wildly long time near Karen Reed's car. What were they doing for a wildly long time in Sally Port near Karen Reed's car?
That is crazy. So what are you saying?
Oh
During
my
the first
God.
trial, she's kind of like forced to speak.
During the first trial, she was never called to the stand.
So this attitude is from the second trial?
Yeah. She was never called to the stand in the first trial.
Uh-huh.
The second trial, she comes and she's huffing and puffing.
Uh-huh.
And the defense is just trying to get her to relay her statements that she made to the FBI, which is, you told the FBI that they were near Karen Reed's car in Sally Port for a wildly long time.
Okay.
The defense is like, you have no idea why you're here. You've never talked to me. Nobody on the defense seems to talk to me since prior to the first trial, which she did not testify in. So I don't have any idea why I'm
Oh
here.
my God.
No clue whatsoever, as you sit here, why you might have been called to the stand. No. Are you uncomfortable testifying? No, it's part of my job. There is an indication that things are not going to go well because Jackson
She's
starts
irritated
asking Kelly
with
Dever,
everything.
And you understand the oath. Yes, I do. What is the oath? The oath is to tell the truth. The whole truth and nothing but the truth, correct? Objection sustained. Did one of the monitors that you had looked at when you had access at the dispatch area, because remember, she took over dispatch and they have a monitor overlooking Sally Port, shows the video feed from the Sally Port garage, So as I already
Did she
said,
watch the whole
I
thing?
don't remember where in dispatch the screen with the cameras was. There was a camera in Sallyport. If I'm going to make the assumption, then yes, of course, but now that's an assumption. I'm not asking you for an assumption. I'm asking you, did one of those feeds, do you recall or not, there was footage that you could see a monitor on the dispatch area?
She looks so over it. She's got so much sass.
I'm going to go with yes.
Look, I don't know what that means. So what do you mean? You're gonna go with yes? Is your answer yes? Yes. Did you observe anything unusual that stood out in your mind that occurred, pardon me, you know, in the Sallyport area where you were on that shift? So we've discussed this previously. I can't make that statement on the stand because I've been provided information released by the defense that it was not a memory, that it was a distorted memory. Therefore, I can't state it because at that point, it would be a lie. I cannot make that statement that you're wanting me to make on the
She's giving
stand
so
because
much
I've been
sass.
advised it would be a lie. So she's saying what I said to the FBI was a false memory. She's saying I never saw Chief Berkowitz or Brian Higgins in Sallyport. It was a false memory.
What? Like,
Yeah.
how did you even come up with that?
Because she said that she had clocked out before the time that she would have seen them. But clocking out doesn't mean anything. And also, those records
Yeah,
can
it
probably
doesn't.
be fudged. I don't know. Don't ask me.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
she's
yeah.
saying it was a false memory. Which the defense is like, okay, first of all, a police officer with false memories should not be a police officer. Because what are you doing? Throwing people in jail over false memories?
Yeah.
Ms. Dever, I've never asked you to make a statement one way or the other on the stand. I'm asking you an open-ended question. Given factual information that makes it so that I know, I did not know. So the answer is no. Correct. But that doesn't make sense because why did you tell the FBI then? Were you advised lying to those officers, the FBI officers, would have been a crime? So it was a willing conversation. I've spoken with their legal team
Oh
because
my
of the fact that I
God.
was providing factual information that showed a statement of mine was a false memory. It was not a lie. Therefore, I made it in good faith and I've retracted given information that it could not be accurate. Ms. Dever, did you understand my question?
Yes, I did. You threatened to charge me with perjury during our phone call prior to the first trial if I didn't lie on the stand right now. I'm telling you, I did not see anything. Factually, I've been provided evidence by a timeline that it is not correct.
Did they advise you of anything, any consequences for lying to them? To lying to FBI agents? Because the defense is saying it's so interesting that all these
Oh my
people,
God.
they're a little more accurate when they're talking to the feds, huh?
Yeah.
Because they know that they've got nobody in the feds and the feds don't care. The feds are gonna arrest them. Not the feds don't care. The feds have also been the subject of a lot of corruption allegations. But in terms of when they're investigating this case, they don't really care. Did they advise you of any consequences? So we had a willing conversation. That's a yes or no.
I don't recall. Okay, there's your answer.
And again, it's like, are you shielding these witnesses?
Oh my God.
As a trained law enforcement officer, are you aware that it is a crime to lie to certain other law enforcement agencies? When you have intent to lie, yes. Did you tell those law enforcement agents on August 9th of 2023 you saw Brian Higgins and Chief Berkowitz go into Sallyport together and alone with Karen Reed's SUV for a wildly long time?
For a wildly long time.
The word
was my recollection
wildly
at the
long
time.
time
So you
is
did say
a,
that.
a very
At the time, that is what I
interesting
recollected.
choice of words.
What's even more interesting, and you'll see by the line of questioning, is that after she moves to Boston Police Department, the commissioner, the man who runs Boston PD,
Michael Cox.
Michael Cox, calls this random patrol officer, Kelly Dever, into his office. And then she recants her statement.
Oh my God.
She calls the FBI and is like, so
and you
I
say
provide
Boston has like thousands of police, right?
3,000 officers, and it's very rare that the
What?
commissioner talks
Yeah.
to anyone, especially not on a detective level.
Yeah.
She's just a patrol officer.
Wow.
Did you have any conversation with anybody in the commissioner's office at the Boston Police Department?
Not about anything malicious.
I didn't use the word malicious. Why do you say malicious?
I had a conversation, but
Oh.
it was my department saying, regardless of what I need to say on the stand, they support me.
So everyone thinks this whole thing is weird, especially weirder when you, given the fact that Michael Cox, he is interviewed by a reporter later, and he's kind of thrown off guard. He's like, did you talk to Kelly Dever about her statement? And he says, I don't even know Karen Read. I've got nothing to do with Karen Read's case. I don't know anything about the Karen Read case.
I have nothing to do with Karen Read. Matter of fact, I didn't even know this person was associated with the Karen Read case. It's much to do about nothing. I have no idea what they're talking about with Karen Read. It had nothing to do with Karen Read. I have nothing to do with Karen Read.
What?
And everyone's like, that's crazy, because what do you mean? The officer that is deceased involving Karen Read's case is a Boston police officer.
Yes.
What do you mean you know
Was-
nothing of the Karen Read case?
Huh?
And the
Oh,
defense is
God.
saying, you told us, Kelly Dever. A year ago, when you talked to us, the defense, did you tell us that you were called up to the commissioner's office and he told you two things? Number one, the department supports you, Officer Dever, and do the right thing.
Boston Police Department supports you, and Officer Deaver, do the right thing.
So he said my name correctly. He said Dever, and
That's my mistake.
He said nothing with the intent of guiding me one way or the other.
Just full of attitude, huh?
Yeah, at one point when she's trying to say I don't remember a question, she says, just like how you don't remember my name, I don't
Oh my god, there's so much sass. There's so much sass. Oh my god, there's so much sass. I'm loving this cop woman. I'm loving her. She's got all the sass. She's not letting anybody have it. Like, oh my gosh, what? And then we're having more people with memory issues. Oh my. God, this case drives me crazy.
like you can't remember my name. I don't remember.
That is wild.
Yeah.
So is she the one that you're talking about? Like she kind of told what happened and then she took it back.
Yeah. Netizens have dug up that there seems to be some distant familial connection between the Dever family and the McCabe's. There seems to be some sort of marriage between Kelly Dever and Matt McCabe's side of the family. It's definitely not good. She also accuses one of the male defense attorneys of threatening to charge her with perjury. And she said that they became very aggressive. And so Jackson is like, a male voice on the phone threatened to charge you with perjury? Yes. You're a police officer, correct? Yes. Who charges people with crimes? In the end, it's going to go through the court system, so the DA, have you ever seen a defense attorney charge anybody with a crime? Personally, no. Fact of the matter is, nobody ever threatened you with perjury, did they? They did. I contacted the FBI regarding it. Oh, did you? I did.
Do you have a report from the FBI saying that you reported that someone on the Karen Read defense team threatened to charge you, your words, with perjury? You have a report to that effect?
No.
No. But we're looking for the truth.
Which I gave you, yes.
Did you also say on that phone call something to the effect of, I know you're going to tear me a new one?
That's what you're trying to do, so yes.
Actually, what you said was, you're going to tear me a new asshole, didn't you?
I don't recall that, so that's putting words in my mouth.
But you do remember saying something to the effect of, I know you're going to tear me a new one, right?
Yes.
Okay.
What is going on?
Yeah.
Dog, why is everyone
people are-
so aggressive?
Yeah, so
oh
now
my
it's
Lord.
become a thing where David Yannetti, the only way he can describe it is John O'Keefe is a Boston cop. I mean, that tells you all you need to know. The blue wall went up, and Karen Read is on the outside of the blue wall. She's an outsider. It just seems like a lot of it is not even corruption. I mean, it is, but a lot of it is not even like, I want to protect Brian Albert. I want to protect the McAlberts. It just seems more so, that's just the way it works. This is how we run things.
Oh
But one of the
my
biggest
God.
problems in this case is even the accident reconstructionists for both sides are, well, the fact is nobody knows exactly where John's body was found.
Thank you,
right?
Abyss.
During the first trial, the prosecution calls up their expert crash reconstructionist, Trooper Paul. He states that Karen hit John with her car, and it all makes sense due to physics. Trooper Paul states that John was hit by the SUV and flew 30 feet. Then when the SUV hit him, he projected forward and then to the left and then to the front yard to his final resting place. If you're confused, it's because it's confusing. Nobody can understand what he's
It's
saying
so
happened
confusing.
when the car hit John O'Keefe.
And more, like I said, in this case, it's more the fact that he didn't get 100%, like his center of mass didn't strike the vehicle, so he would not have been thrown 100% of the vehicle speed post impact. His right side would have sustained the vehicle speed, and that would cause him to spin out, as opposed to traditional forward projection. If he was right there in the middle of the vehicle, he would have got projected forward, and he would have sustained his full body would have sustained the vehicle speed.
Basically, Trooper Paul's version of events show John O'Keefe doing almost a ballerina spin. He gets sideswiped by the taillight. His arm stays there. The taillight shatters on impact, but no bruises or broken bones on his arm. That took the brunt of the impact of this massive SUV. And then his arm kind of stays there for the taillight to then kind of sideswipe him again, causing those crazy abrasions. And then that causes him to propel in like a spin ballerina projected somewhere around the idea of 30 feet until he lands in the grass. And I know that I'm being very animated with this, and it's because in the whole trial, that's how it is. He's being animated, and Attorney Jackson, to bring it home, he's like doing a spin in court. So you're like, so this is what you're telling me happened.
He does a pirouette and flies 30
Oh my
feet to his final
god.
point rest.
Because I think the only way to see how ridiculous it is to show the animation
It's
of
so
what he's saying
ridiculous.
happened.
This whole
Even
case
Trooper
is
Paul
ridiculous.
seems very unsure of his own testimony, and this is where I think a lot of people say, maybe it's not all around corruption, maybe it's also a mix of incompetence. I will say, the defense, the minute that the cross-examination begins,
We've been saying since the beginning that they're either just stupid, evil, or dumb. They're either dumb, corrupted, dumb. There is no way around this. Like, that's what we've been saying this whole case. That there is a mix of stupidity with corruption with maybe a hint of guiltiness mixed in there. There is, like, a whole, like, stew of bullshit being brought up here. And it's just insane. It's insane. Like, mental asylum insane.
really don't even need to argue the nitty-gritty of everything he claims, because they just argue his credentials. Jackson questions him. Sir, do you hold any degrees in the scientific discipline of mathematics? I do not. Do you hold any degrees in the scientific discipline of physics? I do not. Hold any degrees in the scientific discipline of biomechanics?
No.
How about in kinematics?
No.
What's the highest degree that you do hold, sir?
I have an associate's degree.
In what?
Administration of justice.
What's another word for rate of velocity?
The rate of velocity?
Right.
I mean, it deals with the motion. It deals with forward, and also deals with speed. It deals with travel and speed. If something's moving, it also has a speed to it.
Right. The word you're looking for is acceleration, correct?
Sure.
What role does acceleration play in the field of kinematics?
What role does acceleration play in kinematics?
Right.
It talks about, like you just said, it talks about the speed and talks about motion.
What's the difference between constrained and unconstrained motion?
Constrained and unconstrained motion?
That's what I asked.
Constrained motion. I can't recollect at the moment.
Constrained motion is motion on a predetermined path, isn't it?
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Unconstrained motion is what?
When it doesn't have a predetermined path?
Free movement, correct?
Correct.
You couldn't remember that from your class?
For the most part, we don't go that in depth, constrained and unconstrained.
Constrained and unconstrained.
Bro, why is he breathing down the mic, bro? All I hear is, huh, huh. Brother, back away from the microphone. Oh my god. All I hear in my ears is just, huh, huh, huh. God, oh my, that's so annoying. Also, the way he's talking about physics and motion and acceleration and deceleration, this is basic high school level physics stuff. Or maybe it's just for me, but like, this seems like almost basic level physics. But like, this seems a little basic, and he's talking about it a little weirdly, and he doesn't seem to get the whole picture that we need here. So, personally, please get us somebody who actually knows what they're talking about. Pretty please, next time for a case, pretty please.
Not restrained.
That's what I said. Sorry, unconstrained. Yes.
The defense also brings up the fact that Trooper Paul testified that when someone is hit by something, whatever they have in their hand, they lose it. But John O'Keefe held onto his cocktail glass while being projected 30 feet. Trooper Paul responds, I don't know, I mean, it just could have been with him the whole way. I don't know, I wasn't there, so I don't know how the glass stayed with his body and went with him to the final rest. So we know that you weren't there, but if you don't know, who knows? At certain points, Trooper Paul makes no sense, and he clearly sounds very nervous. He will say things like this to the defense attorney.
I know. I'm just saying. You asked me. You said why this. I'm just responding to what you said, and trying to make sure you understand what I'm saying.
No, I don't. But I'll ask another question.
Another questionable part is the defense points out that John's phone was found underneath his body, to which Trooper Paul is asked,
If the cell phone was found under his torso, under his body, what's your theory on how that cell phone ended up flying 30 feet with it?
It just did.
It just did?
It just
What do you
did.
mean?
And somehow, as he landed, he tucked that cell phone underneath his body so that he landed on top of it.
It just did. That's the evidence at the scene. I didn't put the evidence there.
Well, you didn't. Objection. Sustained. Cell phone in one hand, cup in the other hand, flew through the air, right? Objection sustained. Defense attorney Jackson accuses Trooper Paul of having confirmation bias, to which Trooper Paul says he can't definitively say what confirmation bias even really means.
Have you ever heard of the phrase confirmation bias?
I know the phrase. Yes.
You know what it means?
I can't definitely say what it means.
Trooper Paul states that he came to the final resting spot of John O'Keefe by way of Gallagher telling him where John O'Keefe was found. But remember, Gallagher never saw where John's body was found. All in all, I think the only takeaway from Trooper Paul's testimony is that he has no clue what he's talking about. We have no clue what he's talking about. Nobody has any clue what Trooper Paul is talking about. At one point, he says, like, there are certain calculations that you can do, you know, based on distance, and it's based on miles per hour and the speed of the vehicle and the striking of the vehicle and stuff. The defense is like, what did you mean by and stuff?
What did you mean by stuff?
I don't know.
Ultimately, Trooper Paul admits.
One more time?
We could not calculate anything from this collision.
Side note, he doesn't even know John O'Keefe's weight, which you would think is one of the most
Yeah.
important things.
Are you kidding me?
He also doesn't know the mass weight of the vehicle.
Are you kidding me?
It's just so clear that he wrote,
How is he an expert?
We don't know. It's like when you write,
Doug, this is like some I faked a fucking job application type shit. This is some, hey, I did this totally 100%. I am just let me into this really important case. Just let me squeeze on in there. Like, brother, you did not know what you were talking about. Please get us somebody who actually knows what they're doing in the next case. Please. Because if you don't know what you're talking about, we can't get a proper answer out of this case. Just saying.
I speak Mandarin on your resume. Well, you do. I speak Mandarin on your resume, and then you go, and suddenly you have to speak Mandarin, and then I'm just like, okay. How would you calculate how far a body at rest would travel after being struck by an object in motion? How would you calculate that? I would use a type of formula for calculations of post-impact speeds of pedestrians. The defense asks how the taillight was shattered. So the taillight in this case was shattered when it struck John O'Keefe's arm. Exactly what part of his arm? Based on what I saw for his injuries, was the upper part of his arm down. Trooper Paul states that it would have been out, elbows out, then the full mass, you know, and then it got hit.
Yeah.
He really doesn't know what he's talking about.
If he flew like 30 feet, it's very easy to calculate the force needed to reach that kind of distance.
But even just the arm?
Yeah, that
just
doesn't make sense.
None of it makes sense.
If you're flying 30 feet from being hit by a vehicle, that vehicle needs to go somewhere between, this is a rough guess, 24 to maybe 40 miles an hour. Like, you need to be zooming. You need to be, like, decent speed. Like, it has to be somewhere pretty fast and pretty damn hard. And I'd have to say, just pretty damn direct, because if somebody's sideswiping your arm, you're maybe going a couple feet back, you're maybe stumbling, you're maybe falling, but like, what the do you mean he went 30 feet in the air with a glass and his phone, which somehow ended up underneath him? Now, chat, I might not be like a mathematician or a physics like degree graduate with like a master's degree on physics, but I know as much as a normal human being would. And you have to hit something pretty hard with a car to send the object flying 30-some feet. Just saying.
To shatter that type of plastic,
yes,
you know, what type of force
And then also it's a lot of the plastic taillight pieces were found around where John O'Keefe's body was found. So it shattered like an explosion.
Right, exactly.
None of it makes sense.
Yeah.
So then there was briefly...
And there's only one thing that doesn't lie, which is physics.
Yeah.
That's one thing cannot lie. So just follow that, proves everyone is lying.
Yeah. But he's like, no, this is exactly what happened. And when he's asked, how are there no injuries to John O'Keefe's arm other than those abrasions and lacerations, he says, I don't know. Literally, I don't know. Any other questions about that? Auntie Bev just sustains all of them. Jackson asks, and at the same time, he does a pirouette and flies 30 feet to his final resting point of rest.
I don't know if he did a pirouette. He started rotating counterclockwise. I don't know how far he ran counterclockwise, but he started rotate. According to that, would push him to rotate counterclockwise. Whether or not he went counterclockwise all the way to his back toward the ground, it seems like a most likely possibility.
At one point, the defense straight up asks Trooper Paul, the truth is, Trooper Paul, you have no idea what all these physics calculations mean, do you? Objection sustained. Netizen comments read, I was feeling sympathy for how insufficient Trooper Paul's intelligence is, but then I see him on cross trying to explain away a murder charge with his woefully lacking investigation and opinions, not doing calculations because it was a reverse. The laws of physics exist. Gravity exists, despite his wish that it didn't.
Y'all really believe gravity exists, bro? Like, walk on a ceiling or something. Walk on a wall or something. Because apparently, according to this dude, it just doesn't exist. Like, just start levitating casually, you know? When they tell you don't take another step, just float. Just float. Like, that's the kind of logic this dude's dishing out to us.
I don't know. Just, like, based on this person alone, just this little conversation alone, it's enough to prove that Karen Read didn't hit John O'Keefe. That's it, period, the end. I don't even know how the mistrial happened from the first trial. It doesn't even make any sense.
I think the biggest thing for me is the feds got involved. The federal investigation that has no connection with Karen Read, that has no connection with the McAlberts, and their experts said these injuries from John O'Keefe were not from a collision.
Yeah, exactly.
And they had no skin in the game. They gave this to the Commonwealth and the defense, and they said, here you go. And I feel like that was where I was like, okay, then what can I say? I don't know physics like that, but they're telling me.
So it wasn't from a collision, then let's look elsewhere, guys.
Yes. But they're like, no, it was from a collision. In fact, Trooper Paul testified in trial 1, and clearly it did not go well. So for trial 2, the Commonwealth brings in expert witnesses, very expensive expert witnesses, from a company called Aperture. The first one is Shannon Burgess. You can already tell things are going to go awry by the fact that his direct by Hank Brennan is 1.5 hours long, and the cross by Robert Alessi is 4.5 hours long. Which, by the way, Robert Alessi is a pharmacist as well. He's got a lot of, it seems like he knows a lot of STEM-related stuff. I don't know how else to describe it, but it seems like he's very well-versed in anything STEM-related. Shannon Burgess says that he found a new computer chip in Karen Read's SUV that hasn't been previously analyzed, and he used that data to calculate the time difference between Karen Read's SUV and John O'Keefe's cell phone, and he found the variance, and then he's just saying, you know, the time adds up to when Karen Read made a 3-point turn and when John O'Keefe's phone was used for the last time, and that is why he believes that she was the one that killed him on impact. When the cross-examination starts, when it starts with these types of questions, you just know it's not the type of cross that you want to be on the receiving end of. Alessi has this look of, good afternoon, Mr. Burgess. People know Alessi, and people say, this man is about to do something.
Chat, when you have somebody pulling out these, like, mathematical bullshit from, like, out of nowhere and saying, like, oh, this time and, like, this time we have them right next to each other. Oh, and then the phone stops working here, like, not even so far away, blah, blah, blah. You know, like, that's the kind of thing that it's like, unless you have some sort of physical proof that you weren't there, you're screwed. You're screwed. You're cooked right then and there on the spot. Because a lot of people are willing to believe math and physics over hard evidence. And then there's all this, like, misprocedure. And then there's a whole bunch of other, like, we have the possibility of planting evidence. Apparently the taillight exploded, but weren't we told that the fucking, weren't we told that the taillight was damaged already before they found the body or whatever? And whatever from Karen Reed backing her car up into John O'Keefe's car trying to get out or something. Like, there's so many things here that don't line up, and it's giving me a headache.
That Burgess is not gonna like. He brings up his CV.
CV cover?
Yeah. And it says that he is currently pursuing a bachelor's degree, but interestingly enough, on the Aperture official website, his bio states that he has a BS in Mathematics and Business Administration, not currently pending or pursuing, just has it. You do not have a Bachelor of Science in Mathematics and Business Administration, do you? No, I do not. He also puts it in his LinkedIn. But also, he hasn't gotten his degree for that. Nor is he actively pursuing it. So is he just like lying on the Aperture website and his LinkedIn? The defense brings up another resume, and this time again, it says Bachelor of General Science in Mathematics and Business Administration, University of Alabama, 2022. All Burgess can say about that is what it states, but this resume, there are a number of errors in that. Correct. So let's go on. This is the third example. Am I correct, sir? It has errors or outdated information. Well, when you say outdated, how is it that you can call a date outdated next to something you don't possess? Either you have a Bachelor of Science degree or you don't. I have represented that I do not have a bachelor's degree. But to make matters worse, the degree that he claimed to have doesn't even exist at the University of Alabama. He's asked.
Oh my God.
So you would agree that there's not even a degree.
We are looking for gamers who
Oh
want
my
to learn
God,
how to become
ads.
video game testers, designers, or programmers. If any of these
A degree called Bachelor of General Science in Mathematics and Business Administration offered at the University of Alabama, correct?
Correct.
If I did the math correctly, sir, you've been pursuing a Bachelor
So
of Science
he
degree
lied
for 17
while
years, correct?
on the
That is correct.
stands is insane.
And you have not obtained it as you sit here today.
That is correct.
Is he embarrassed? What is happening right now?
Yeah, so he's lying on his resume. He has no degree in this, but what if Shannon Burgess is a genius that excels in math, and this is an episode of Suits? He didn't graduate from school, but he is a prodigy level ability to comprehend car accidents and physics. That could be the case. The defense reveals that Shannon Burgess doesn't know the difference between a gigabit and a gigabyte. To simplify it, 1 gigabyte is 8 gigabits, which is kind of confusing, but like, that's like confusing 5 minutes and 40 minutes. It's a huge discrepancy.
Yeah.
A huge miscalculation, misunderstanding, error, whatever Shannon Burgess wants to call it. Do I know the difference between the two? No, but I also don't work for Aperture, where these things can change the course of a defendant's life based on their calculations.
Yeah.
Burgess didn't even realize he misunderstood a gigabyte and a gigabit until the defense ARCA witnesses were like, hey, prosecutors, your experts are dumb. They confused it, so.
Unbelievable.
Oh my God. There's more
simply
human
misunderstood
stupidity.
the difference between gigabits and gigabytes, correct?
Misinterpreted, I would not say misunderstood.
He also misinterprets dates, just straight up gets dates wrong on his scientific findings. The
Oh
defense
my
also
God.
accuses him of just switching up his data and findings whenever other experts that are also testifying for the prosecution find different findings, just to make it all cohesive, which is not at all what you're supposed
God,
to do.
no.
And side note, the redirect for the prosecution does not save this testimony, because this cross-examination is 4.5 hours long, and it's brutal, very brutal. It just makes it goofier. All Hank Brennan can do is ask Burgess,
Is it bad?
This whole case is so dumb. It's one idiot saying something that they did wrong after another, and it's just like a deck of idiots. It's just ditching. It's like having a perfect hand for like blackjack or something, and then just throwing it away. Oh my God, there is so many fucking flaws and so many dumb decisions being made. Oh my God. It's just one dumb decision after another, after another. Oh my... Sorry, I know I may sound a little bit repetitive here, but that is because I'm getting super heated over this. Because there is more dumb decisions being made and shown and proven in a court of law after another bad decision, and more idiocy to continue and to follow that. Like, we have police officers not doing their jobs. We have paramedics not writing stuff down in case reports. We have people trying to do math and physics that don't know what they're doing. Oh my gosh. This video is going to be so much longer because I'm out here crashing out over people's incompetence to do the job that they say that they are capable of doing. God.
Degree a prerequisite of success in a particular field?
No, it is not.
You ever hear of Bill Gates?
Yes.
Stephen Jobs?
Yes.
Oprah Winfrey?
Sustained.
Oh my
Yes.
gosh.
Oprah Winfrey. Objection. Sustained. Then you have the other aperture expert.
Oh my gosh.
Who I guess I decided last night at like 3 a.m. he doesn't deserve a spot on this wall. Okay, but he's just he's the blue man.
He's the blue man? What do you mean he's the blue man?
Robert Alessi is also the one doing this. I will say, Robert Alessi, I don't think anyone expected him to do these types of crosses. I feel like he knows more about physics than the aperture witnesses.
Oh my god.
Yeah, he's people call him like the nerdy hot guy type.
Looks like a scientist more than
Yeah.
a lawyer.
Yeah, which makes him an incredible lawyer. And Dr. Welcher is a lot. He says,
Morning, Dr. Welcher.
Good morning. We haven't been formally introduced. Your whole name?
Robert Alessi, sir.
Robert Alessi. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
which I just felt like Welcher's trying to assert his dominance, which doesn't bode well for him later on. He introduces himself as an action reconstruction and biomechanics expert. He's got a little feistiness in him. Alessi asks him,
And would you agree that the first question, or one of the first questions that are to be asked by a biomechanical engineer when conducting an analysis of, say, an injury, is how did this happen? Is that one of the first few questions that you ask?
No, that's usually the last question.
Oh, so for you...
So hold on a second.
Okay,
Generally what you want to do is gather data. You want to know what injuries there are, what evidence there is, like, for example, on the vehicles. And then the very last thing you want to know or define is, given all that information, how did it happen? So that's the end.
it's very preachy. It's like kind of like, he's like, so hold on a second, let me tell you how it's done.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Welcher has no explanation for how the car hit John on the hand and broke nothing in his hand or his arm.
Is 300 to 400 pounds of force sound right from the literature that it would take to break a bone in the hand?
For a distributed load,
Yes.
such as the taillight, no.
Moving on, because Welcher is mainly known for his blue paint. Alessi asks him,
Dr. Welcher, I would like to talk now about your paint exercise. I'll just call it the blue paint exercise. Is that descriptive enough for you to know what I'm talking about?
No, it's not an exercise, it's a test.
Okay, you want to call it a blue paint test?
Sure.
Okay, let's call it blue paint test. So your blue paint test involved painting the right rear tail light blue, correct?
Correct.
so he bought a Lexus.
Who bought a Lexus?
Welcher bought a Lexus for Aperture. I mean, the Commonwealth's paying for it. Bought a Lexus, painted the rear tail light blue, and then he's standing there and has it back up into him at 2 miles per hour. He runs 3 tests where the blue paint backs up to him in 2 miles per hour to see where the blue paint lands on his hand, because he is also the same height as John O'Keefe, or around the same height. But that's confusing for the defense, because it's like, you don't even know where John O'Keefe was standing. You don't know if he was standing on the lawn, which would be a few inches discrepancy from if he was standing on the street. So if you don't know where he's standing, and these few inches make vastly different results for a test like this, what kind of test are you running? Also, you're running the test at 2 miles per hour.
Yeah.
The Commonwealth is claiming that she hit him at over 20 miles per hour. How can you even run a test like that?
Yeah.
So they're asking you to...
You didn't do a blue paint test with the vehicle going at 20 miles per hour, correct?
That is correct. I was not going to hit myself with a Lexus at 20 miles an hour.
You could have done other tests where the vehicle was going at 20 miles per hour.
Oh
if
my
you
God.
used a crash test dummy, correct?
Welcher gives a lengthy explanation of why he didn't do that, but it just sounds like why you didn't do your homework. It doesn't really make that much sense. Alessi is so over Welcher. He just tells Welcher, you don't have the point of impact. You don't know where in the road there was impact. You don't have anything. The purpose...
No one has anything. oh my god, the only ground that anyone stands on is the fact that John O'Keefe is dead. We're pointing the blame at Karen Read, and everybody is either doing something wrong or somebody has done something stupid. Those are the only things that we have gotten out of this case so far. We have people making thirst traps over these guys because they can, I guess. I don't know. I personally do not see the appeal, but maybe that's just my standpoint. And then, not to mention, we have people doing paint tests now, apparently, and now we have people trying to disprove location and physics, and we're not even understanding how like impact works or speed, apparently. And it's just one thing wrong after another, after another, after another. And I'm gonna keep on saying this because that is all we have gotten.
Of your blue paint test was, quote, I mean, the focal point is what?
So that was the focal point of that test. The focal point of the purpose of that test was to show the contact width and location of how someone of Mr. O'Keefe's height, which happens to be me, contacts and where it would contact where the broken taillight was. So no, that was the focal point of the testing. That's why I did the testing. That's why we're calling it paint transfer testing.
Okay, so his test is trying to show that John O'Keefe's arm broke the taillight.
But that's not the test. The test is it just touched the taillight. Because you can't prove it broke the taillight if you don't test at the speed.
Yeah.
And
Exactly. Yeah, put a dummy there and
but he's
something.
Yeah. At one point he gets very aggressive and he just argues,
It's certainly possible. It's possible it could have shot off into space as an engineer, but not probable.
Oh, you think it's possible that it could have been shot off into space, sir?
As an engineer, it's a possibility.
It's a possibility that
Absolutely.
this Lexus could have been shot off into space?
Highly, highly unlikely. But
Right.
again, you're asking an engineer about possibilities and probabilities.
Let's get back to reality.
netizens are commenting.
my
Apparently this
God.
guy thinks that John's arm blew up the taillight into 47 pieces without breaking a single bone. He couldn't answer a yes or no question if asked if it's sunny outside right now. This clown did his own 2-mile-per-hour crash, did ridiculous paint tests, and admits that engineering has thousands of possibilities, including launching the Lexus into space. Another one says basically they're doing costume changes, lying on the stand, and finger painting to get paid by taxpayers, which they're getting paid a lot.
God,
The
it's
Commonwealth
so
paid nearly
accurate,
$400,000 to Aperture for the testing.
It was dumb.
no.
Like,
Yes.
The test was
Useless.
useless.
So good.
Useless. Which brings us to the defense witnesses, Dr. Daniel Wolf and Dr. Andrew Rent. And they are called Crash Daddy. Mainly, Dr. Wolf is called Crash Daddy. He's Honorable Crash Daddy number 2. And there was a whole ordeal that Hank Brennan was fighting tooth and nail to make sure that they don't come in for the second trial. It was a whole thing. They
Oh
bring
my
in
God.
ARCA, the 2 Crash Daddies. Now, ARCA was originally hired by
Crash
the FBI,
Daddy.
and they are a formal accident reconstruction company that are hired by...
I'm gonna pause Mango real quick. This is why I love watching Rotten Mango, because she will come up with the most amazing nicknames, or she will find people who have made these amazing nicknames for these people. Because, oh my god, Crash Daddy, that sounds like some sort of like energy drink or like NyQuil wannabe. It's, or maybe even a TV show, hell. But like, oh my god, these nicknames, spot on. I love it.
law firms that work primarily with car insurance companies, insurance carriers, and they also have multiple contracts with the Department of Defense, the DoD,
Okay.
for accident reconstructions. Their CVs filled to the brim. Like, if anybody knows anything about car accidents, they know, and we know they know because the prosecutors could not question their CVs.
Yeah, and it sounded like they are the people to hire for something
Yeah.
like this. Ask the expert. Here's the expert.
Yes.
But the prosecutor never reached out to like a formal,
Well,
official.
Aperture is supposed to be.
Okay.
Yeah. I think netizen speculation is that they had to reach out to Aperture, or a company that maybe some people subjectively, in their opinion, think is not as reputable as ARCA, because ARCA would probably not lie. And ARCA is perhaps too smart. And ARCA would tell you straight up, which is what they do on the stand. They both state John's injuries are inconsistent with the crash. Dr. Wolf states it's his job to, quote, and this is going to be a breath of fresh air compared to the Aperture witnesses. He's very likable on the stand. Both of them are.
I think a simple definition in my mind would be the application of physics, engineering science, and mathematics to collision events. I always like to think of it as if you open up a puzzle box and you dump the pieces out, and you've got a bunch of pieces, and you're trying to piece together the evidence to see how everything fits to get a clear picture.
Unlike any of the prosecution witnesses, he says.
Back in 2012, I received a Bachelor of Science in Engineering from James Madison University, along with a minor in mathematics. Some of my courses while at JMU included.
Oh my god, somebody who knows what they're doing? Wait, we might actually get to know something. We might actually get somewhere. Hold up, let him cook. Hold up, we gotta see where this goes.
Courses in physics, statics, dynamics, kinematics, material science, along with your other engineering sciences. Subsequent to my undergraduate degree, I then went on to the University of Delaware to pursue my PhD in electrical and computer engineering with a concentration in electromagnetics and photonics. In addition to my undergraduate degree and my PhD, I've continued to take courses through Northwestern University in crash reconstruction. Some of those courses have included human factors, lighting. I've taken courses on electronic vehicle data, photogrammetry, three-dimensional laser scanning, so I've continued to take courses subsequent to graduating.
Yeah.
Right off the bat,
He is still learning more stuff? Oh my god, this guy keeps getting better by the moment. This guy seems like our knight in shining armor compared to the rest of these losers. Oh my god, he might actually show us some shit that we didn't know already. Or he's gonna show us that everybody else is incompetent or is just plain up stupid.
sound a lot more credible. They also, yes.
Are you saying both of these were also in trial 1?
Yes. And they try to get them banned from trial 2.
That is crazy. Even with that, there's still
Bruh,
questions.
why are they trying to get him banned?
And they ran a lot of tests. So instead of just like rubbing blue paint on a tail light, they ran multiple experiments to see what would happen when a tail light collides at various speeds with a dummy arm. To which the crash daddies state, based on the test results, the damage is inconsistent with striking an arm. They also tried to do a test, an experiment where, because he had a cocktail glass in his hand that shattered, they got a cocktail glass projectile.
So you literally built a cannon?
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Basically like a gun that shoots a cocktail glass at a tail light. Yes, to see if the tail light shatters and where the cocktail glass pieces land, where the tail light pieces land. That also does not show that John was hit by this car.
Okay, I see. They're trying to prove that maybe the cocktail glass shattered the tail light. But again, that was inconsistent with the scene.
So they're not even just trying to prove one thing, they're just trying to go down the line. And they're like, literally nothing.
Yeah.
Like nothing. At one point, the only thing that the prosecution can do with the ARCA experts, because honestly, they're experting, the only thing that they can do is try to say that they're too friendly with the defense team. They're too friendly with the defense team because the defense team is like, hey, these weren't really even our hired experts in trial 1. They did eventually get hired and they were only paid like $23,000, which is a lot of money, but they were probably way under what they were paid by the FBI. So when they testified for trial 1, they didn't have to testify. The FBI already paid them, they did their job. But they came in and they testified. For trial 2, I think their hotel fees, their traveling, their time was compensated for $23,000. And he's making a whole big ordeal about it when he just paid Aperture $400,000. But he's just trying to say, you guys are too close.
That's like the last thing he should be questioning right now.
Yeah.
When you look at this whole map that everyone knows each other.
And he's just also saying things like, Sue, you call him Alan Jackson? Sounds like you guys are friendly. And Crash Daddy is like, what are you talking about? It's literally, I've become familiar with him over the years, so I call him Alan. And then I think he becomes a meme at this point because he says,
What would you call me?
And everyone's like, are you jealous of Crash Daddy? Like, what do you want him to
What?
call you? It seemed like people have
What?
been putting romantic music and like, what would you call me then? And he just says,
Probably Mr. Brennan.
and everyone's just like, okay. And then at one point, Dr. Rent, Honorable Crash Daddy number 2, he throws shade at Aperture and he says, well, the blue paint test is the only test that he performed. And he referenced that test for his opinion that the position and lacerations are consistent with the taillight cover. So if that test was not intended to signify or demonstrate the orientation of the arm, that's the only test he did. So if it doesn't represent that, it's really meaningless in his analysis and conclusions. He's saying, what was the test for? I don't know
He
what
said you did a test and it failed, so you have no answer. So what did you do that for?
So why are you showing us this test?
Exactly.
Because this test means nothing.
Yes.
That's
yes.
a stupid test.
Yes.
Which is how a lot of
People finally speaking the facts. Finally, we have people who understand that most of this was just stupid and unneeded. Oh my god. Wow.
citizens feel, and they feel that Crash Daddy's dimples alone would have them believe them. And then the next problem is, if it's not caused by the arm, if we believe Arca, then what could it be caused by? Now we bring up Chloe once more. The prosecution brings
the dog's
Terry
coming back.
Kuhn. She works for UC Davis at the veterinary genetics lab in the forensic unit. She's the DNA technical lead, and she's been doing this for 25 years. She had tested swabs sent in by the MSP and tested it for dog canine DNA, which it showed negative. But it did show positive for pig DNA, which she says could happen when you have pork or any sort of pig cold cuts or anything of that sort. So it doesn't necessarily say that he was at a pig farm or anything of that. But people thought it was very interesting that there's no dog DNA. But when the defense really gets into the nitty-gritty of it all, they're asking her, do you know where the swabs came from? It was pulled from John's t-shirt that was laying on the hospital floor. So there's a lot of questions of that, and the defense is just saying just because there was no dog DNA does not mean anything. In fact, dog DNA should have been taken from the arm. Like any swab should have been taken from John O'Keefe's arm. And even then, if those...
I'd say if they were doing swabs, I'd say take it from anywhere where there is an injury of any shape or form. Because if you can find animal DNA on any of those marks, then you have a possible lead.
or claw marks, it would have been very difficult to find dog DNA because usually you need saliva to indicate these animal DNA factors. The defense bring in their own witness, an older doctor by the name of Dr. Marie Russell, and I don't know why, but Auntie Bev has beef with her for no reason because during a voir dire, which is
Auntie Bev has beef with everyone, bro.
It could be like vetting of witnesses when the jury is not around. There's a voir dire of Dr. Marie Russell. And Auntie Bev is like, because it's a voir dire, I can ask questions. And everyone is like, I have never seen a judge ask questions. I mean, judges will sometimes ask questions for when it's jury selection to make sure that everything is impartial, the jurors are all good, but this is weird.
All right, so since this is a voir dire, I get to ask questions, doctor? So
yes,
I just have a couple of questions for you. I don't think I really heard you. So could you tell me again what your opinion is and to what degree you hold that opinion?
Yes.
Dr. Russell is very sharp. She is a professional dog bite expert. Her resume is as good as the ARCA experts. Residency at USC Level 1 Trauma Center, then forensic pathology residency.
She seemed like a sweet lady. Honestly, I just saw her for a moment. She seemed super sweet. She seemed like a grandma. She seemed like all sweet and shit. I have nothing but good remarks for that woman, the doctor, so far. Auntie Bev can go for herself. But the Crash Daddies, the Crash Daddy-O's, they've seemed to be doing their job quite well. This doctor coming up, she seems pretty high regarded so far. So I have nothing bad to say about her so far.
At the LA County Coroner's Office. She has been studying dog bites for a very long time. She has probably seen maybe 1,000 dog bites, and she says,
I believe that these injuries were sustained by an animal, possibly a large dog, because of the pattern of the injuries.
Fascinating.
yes. And a lot of people online say, hey guys, I'm not an expert, but I've been bitten by a dog, I've been clawed at by a dog, and look. Also, people say that there are rumors that Chloe was supposed to be a canine dog in training, but failed out of the academy. And canine dogs are trained to bite the arm. You know, when they have those marshmallow arms. So it's very interesting that it's only one arm, and she's allegedly bit on very strongly. The only rebuttal that the Commonwealth has to Dr. Russell's testimony is that bite analysis science is pseudoscience. I agree, but hold on. They're conflating two different things. Bite analysis science is pseudoscience when you look at bite indentations on like a person's arm. Let's say someone bit my arm, and they take a picture of this, and they bring up scans of people's teeth. And they say, does person 1 fit? Does person 2 fit? Does person 3 fit? It's person 3. Convict them. That is pseudoscience. It's very hard to identify the individual. But that's not what Dr. Marie Russell's doing. She's saying, I mean, you can kind of tell when it's a dog bite. I'm not saying which dog it is. I'm not saying which breed of dog it is. I'm just telling you, these are very consistent with what I have seen are dog bites because I study dog bites.
Wow.
Yeah, but they're saying, no, bite science is pseudoscience. And she's like, I'm not saying I'm going to tell you which dog, which breed of dog, but this is very weird.
Yeah.
People think it's so crazy that this is happening. So then just bring in Chloe, right, to examine her. Well, Defense Attorney Jackson says, I want access to that dog. I might want to measure its claws. I might want to measure its teeth. I might want to have a forensic veterinarian look at the dog, examine the dog. And then we find out that the Alberts got rid of the dog. Their family pet, they get rid of Chloe and rehome her in Vermont.
Insane.
The defense is saying that the Commonwealth never gave them any sort of information. They gave them some random vet form of a dog that's not even named Chloe on the vet forms, of like random people from Vermont. And they're like, who are these people? We don't even know if that's Chloe. Who's to say that's Chloe? That could be a different German Shepherd. Who's to say the Brian Alberts don't find a different German Shepherd? And it's like, that's Chloe. See, the teeth don't match. See, everything doesn't match. So they ask the McAlberts why they got rid of Chloe, and they say that recently, right before they rehomed Chloe, it's not because of John O'Keefe, it's because Chloe bit another dog, and then the two owners of the dog, two women that were walking that dog, tried to stop Chloe, and Chloe attacked the two women. They ended up in the hospital. One of those two women later reached out to Vanity Fair and said, I was scared because after I got out of the hospital, I was reached out to by Kevin Albert, a Canton police officer who's asking me, how can we make this go away?
Whoa.
Allegedly.
Whoa.
But they
I don't like that.
I think this is one of those cases where I'm getting very confused because a lot of the information seems like it's not subjective. A lot of the digital forensic information of how long to die in the cold should not be subjective. The crash experts should not be subjective, but somehow everything has become subjective. Everything has become, will you believe this party or this party? But I thought digital forensics, physics were typically objective things in the court of law. So this case is interesting in that sense. But I think it's weird enough to cause reasonable doubt, which is the burden of the prosecution. Because in the end, for the second trial, I mean, you guys already know, the jurors go off to deliberate and they come back.
The deliberating jurors remain standing. Defendant remains standing. All other parties may be seated.
Oh no. Oh no.
Mr. Foreman, on docket number 001, murder in the second degree, what say you? Is the defendant at the bar guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
Do all of you agree? Yes. Thank you. 002, what say you? Is the defendant at the bar not guilty or guilty?
Not guilty.
003, what say you? Is the defendant at the bar leaving the scene after accident resulting in death? Is the defendant not guilty or guilty?
Not guilty.
So say you, Mr. Foreman? So say you all?
And they find Karen Read not guilty. And you hear people cheering outside the courthouse, inside the courtroom.
Oh my gosh. They're all partying, they're so happy. Oh my gosh.
And she's just like bursting into tears. Even her defense attorneys are so emotional in that moment.
Oh
and
my
it's just
gosh.
a very, she is found guilty of operating under the influence, but she does not get jail time. Instead, she receives a year of probation. And Karen says,
I just want to say two things. Number one is I could not be standing here without these amazing supporters who have supported me and my team financially and, more importantly, emotionally for almost 4 years. And the second thing I want to say is no one has fought harder for justice for John O'Keefe than I have and my team. Thank you.
about the verdict, she says, at first there's grief, then it's anger. It's anger that outside sources, outside people can influence what happens in a courtroom and can impact the results of a pretty cut and dry case. Carrie Roberts has also released her own statement stating that she's confused why everyone hates her and her new best friend, Jen McCabe. She says, I don't know why they're making Jen McCabe a villain. All she did was answer the same phone call I did. Karen called her. She didn't call Karen. It's so stupid and bizarre. We put our asses on the line for 3.5 years, 2 trials to help the state of Massachusetts, and you're not going to help us when we're being harassed? It's not worth it to put my family through that ever again and not be protected at all. It's absolutely sick. The jury pool was completely tainted is all I can say. Yeah. Brian Albert and his family have released a statement of their own. Our hearts are with John and his entire O'Keefe family. They have suffered through so much and deserve better from the justice system. While we may have more to say in the future, today we mourn with John's family and lament the cruel reality that this prosecution was infected by lies and conspiracy theories spread by Karen Read, her defense team, and some in the media. The result is a devastating miscarriage of justice. ATF Brian Higgins has remained quiet, except there are rumors and sources floating around the internet that he was seen drunk at a bar where he was telling a buddy of his, all I did was pull the dog off. We don't know if this is true. This could be completely a made-up lie. Brennan has made a statement after this case. He says, DA Michael Morrissey appointed me, giving me full discretion to independently assess this case and follow the evidence no matter where it led. After an independent and thorough review of all the evidence, I concluded that the evidence led to one person and one person only. Neither the closed federal investigation nor my independent review led me to identify any other possible suspect or person responsible for the death of John O'Keefe. The campaign of intimidation and abuse that has been waged, funded, and promoted in public and on social media is the antithesis of justice. If this type of conduct becomes commonplace, it will threaten the integrity of our judicial system, affecting both victims and criminally accused. Jackson states, the Commonwealth would rather simply condemn the jury in its fair and lawful verdict. The O'Keefe family have since filed a wrongful death suit against Karen Read, C.F. McCarthy's, the first bar that John and Karen went to, and then Waterfall Bar, saying that they overserved. And they are seeking about $50,000 in damages for, quote, conscious pain and suffering and profound emotional distress. Karen states the timing is very weird. She says that they could have sued me right when John O'Keefe passed, but they sued me after they found out that she wasn't going to prison. As for the kids, she really cares for those kids. And she says they've been exploited and brought into a trial they have no business being in. The hope for me is that one day one of them will grow up and dig into this case and be ambitious enough to say, I need to see everything. Jackson states about Karen and her criminal trials, make no mistake, it's not that the Commonwealth didn't prove that she's guilty. We proved that she's innocent. And the unfortunate thing is, it's caused a flood of people who probably are guilty that have Proctor and Lally have touched their case in some way, that are trying very hard to get their cases thrown out now.
Really?
And it's just become a thing where a lot of people say, I mean, looking at the evidence in their cases, it doesn't seem like a Karen Read situation where they've been framed or potentially there's not enough evidence.
But there could be cases that they wrongfully...
Oh, yes, of course. Yes, of course. But the two in question that are coming up often, it doesn't seem like that's the case. And I think that's where a lot of netizens are even more infuriated, because it's not even just Karen Read, but you're talking about so much impact that's going to be left. Because what? You can't do your job? Also, the fact that the Fed's case is closed has been up for debate. Some people think that's the Feds. They haven't responded personally. It's just Hank Brennan and the prosecution saying that the Fed's case is closed, but we don't really know. And one person that has worked with the Feds before, the DOJ, they say, you know, it could be that the Feds are sitting back and not saying anything because the case is closed and they're silently walking away, or they could be working on this case as we speak.
Oh.
You never really know.
Yeah.
Karen Reed says, even if it's closed, that hardly means anyone involved in murdering John or framing me was cleared of wrongdoing. But everyone should know which side of the case is celebrating the federal investigation supposedly being closed and which side isn't. I will tell you which side of this case is culpable and therefore worried about a possible federal indictment.
That is true.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
One juror that was on the second trial has come out to say that they hope the FBI is investigating because they want justice for John O'Keefe and they don't think Karen did it. They say that means we have at least one killer in town, a wolf in sheep's clothing. As a matter of fact, I think we might have a whole pack.
Yes.
And that is where I leave you with Karen Reed's final part 4. What are your thoughts on this case? I know there's a lot more that we could have dug into, but it just would have taken me 20 episodes. What are your
Jesus, this whole case has been so crazy. And I just want to say my input on this is good job on Karen Reed for getting her ass out of a sticky situation. Thank God we had finally 3 professionals towards the end actually do their job and were actually professional about it. And another thing is that I personally think, now you're entitled to your own opinion. You don't have to believe whatever words come out of my mouth, because I'm just a regular human being just doing commentary on a case. That I believe that it's either Brian Albert or one of his relatives who may be responsible, or it could be a third party, but we do not know for sure. But I know for a fact that if some of this cop BS was done correctly, then Karen Reed would be locked up and she would have been found guilty, but she wasn't. That's your answer. Case over, case closed. But there's definitely still more stuff that I think should have been dug into, and I think some more, what's the word I'm looking for here? I'm trying to get my point across, that I think there's things missing. I think some things should have been dug into a bit better, and I think that Karen Reed did a good job on getting her ass out of being convicted as guilty. There you go. That's it. So, thank you all for watching, and this has been EP Soul. Goodbye.